Hey ladies, I'm so excited all of you tuned in here today. I am Deepti Jain, and I help mompreneurs start and grow their businesses online. Now, many times I get this set of questions about how do I do my marketing? How do I promote my business on social media? How do I advertise, right? Now, all these questions relate to the same thing, really, marketing and online promotion. And so I thought I'd talk a little bit about that today. Now, before you really get into the nitty gritty of actually marketing for your business, you kind of need to figure out what overall approach you want to take to marketing your business online. And that's exactly what I'm going to be talking about today. I'm going to be talking about three approaches that you could take, three distinct approaches that you could take to your marketing. And which one you pick actually matters a whole lot because everything you're going to do after that is going to be based on that approach. So I'm going to talk about those three approaches and I'm going to outline the pros and cons of each. And yes, I do have a preference. I'll tell you which one I'm partial towards and why. And that may or may not be right for you though. So I do want to give you the fair pros and cons of each approach because what's right for you really depends on you. And there are a few factors too, which kind of might want to make you lean towards one approach or the other. And I'll touch on those very briefly at the end. But let's go ahead and get started. And if you're ready to hear about those three approaches to marketing, the broad approaches, give me a hashtag ready and let's go ahead and get started right now. All right, the very first approach to marketing, the number one approach is do nothing. Don't do any marketing. Now, you might be like, what are you talking about, Deepti? But you'll be surprised at how many people actually end up choosing that approach. And these people subscribe to the build it and they will come. If you put out good content, people are going to come and people are going to see you. So you don't need to actually spend money or effort on marketing your business. Just put the good content out there, just do good stuff and people will come. Now, interestingly enough, I actually myself subscribe to this approach for, I'm not going to specify, I'm just going to say for way too long, okay? For way too long. And there are some pros to this approach. The pro is that you don't spend time or money doing marketing, and you can instead focus on getting good content, good products, whatever it is they're doing out there, right? So that's one thought. The con of that is a big one because while when I said the pro, I think I said you save some time and money. And yeah, this approach is free. But the con is while this approach is free, it is not without cost. And while being free and being without cost may sound like synonyms, in my mind, they really aren't. Free is when you don't pay money for something. But cost is can be monetary, but can be come in many other forms. And I think the biggest con of this approach is the opportunity cost, ladies. The opportunity cost is massive for this approach because yes, I do believe that people ultimately will come if you keep doing good stuff, giving good products, giving good content, whatever it is. But it takes a long time. And that's what I realized. I really wish I realized this way earlier in my own businesses. There is a huge opportunity cost associated with this don't do anything approach. And that is time. It takes a lot longer to get the word out there, a lot longer. And sometimes that time is so long that you ultimately end up giving up on your business thinking that you have failed at it when you simply haven't even done the marketing at all. So that's approach number one, do nothing, right? We went over the pros and cons. Approach number two is hire a marketing agency. Hire some kind of a marketing agency, big, small, whatever, right? Now, the pros for this approach are that you're going to be, an expert is going to be dealing with your stuff, right? These people, at least supposedly, really know the nuances and the little tricks and tips of the trade, and they know what they're doing, and they're going to make this happen for you, right? That's the pro. And oh, there's one more pro. I think that you don't spend as much time doing this as you might in approach number three. Although that's debatable because hiring and finding the right people is not easy. It is not easy. And while there are many marketing agencies or marketers out there who are very talented and who are also very ethical, there are also quite a few who aren't. So you want to make sure you find the right person, and that can actually take a lot of time, effort, upfront. Now, the cons, apart from the one I just mentioned, is also that this approach can be expensive and it can be recurringly expensive, because typically marketers are going to charge you a non-trivial amount per month, and it's going to go on and on and on. And so that's actually a high recurring cost, going forward. And honestly, I don't think you end up saving that much time, even if you find a good person, because you do have to manage them, communicate with them, the ideals, the focus, the goals of your business, and supervise the work that they've done, approve the work that they've done. So I think ultimately it does take a bunch of time, and it certainly takes a lot of money. So you want to be kind of careful about what you're doing there. So that's number 2. Hi, Sushma. Thank you for joining. All right. That was approach number 2. Now, approach number 3. Approach number 3 is learn the basics and do it yourself. Learn the basics and do it yourself. Now, in this one, I'm going to go over the cons first and then the pros, okay? The cons are that there is a learning curve here, because you're learning something. Of course, there's a learning curve, right? You got to learn it. And that learning curve involves some time, some money, some effort, all of that stuff, right? I think there is one more con. You're not the expert in social media marketing. So you are not going to be doing maybe as much stuff or all the little tips and tricks that somebody who is an expert and who does this full time is going to do. Now, that said, I'm going to now go over the pros of this approach. And from the fact that I talked about the cons first and then the pros, you probably got the idea that this is actually my favorite approach. And this is, what I really recommend for most people. It depends on your exact situation. And the reason is that when you learn the basics and do it yourself, who is managing your marketing? You are. And who cares the most in the world about your business? You do. No marketer out there is ever going to care as much about your business as you do. No marketer out there is going to know as much about your business as you do. And that's why when you do it yourself, you add that personal touch, that effort that you really want to make it happen. And that counts for a lot, ladies. That counts for a lot. And then the other pro about this approach is that while it does cost time, effort, and money up front, and yes, ongoing effort too, actually done correctly, the efforts are not that massive, and the money actually is also not that massive, because if you learn it well, learn it from somebody who knows what they're saying, you just spend a little bit of money up front. And then after that, there is no recurring expense, because you are up and running. You know how to fish rather than having to buy that fish all the time. So that's my favorite approach. Learn the basics and do it yourself. But there are a bunch of factors that can tilt you in another direction. And like always, I have a handout for you. It's a free handout that summarizes these 3 approaches, their pros and cons, and then also has a few questions which outline the various factors you might want to consider when you decide which of these approaches you want to take. But in summarizing all this, I'll just say, regardless of which approach you want to take, before you get into the nitty-gritty of marketing, make sure you're taking the approach you really want to take. So make sure you're doing the big bucket approach that you want to do, and then delve into the nitty-gritty. So that is what I had to say for today. And if you want the handout, you can get it at deeptijainconsulting.com. Let me say that again. deeptijainconsulting.com/marketing approaches. And I believe I have that link in the description for this, above or below, depending on where you're watching this video. And go ahead, click on that, get the handout for today, and good luck with getting started on that marketing approach and your marketing efforts. Oh, and one more thing before I sign off. Remember, ladies, we can and we will. Until next time, bye-bye.